Alrighty, I am live now. Hey guys, welcome to Hot Take Tuesday live on a Wednesday. What's up, Joe? Hold on, let's boop. Are you there? Ah, you did it.
Is it working?
Yeah.
All right. I can only see myself now. I feel like
Okay. Okay. So you won't be able to. Okay. So let me tell you what's going to happen, Joe. Uh, for the live right now, you'll only see yourself, but once the replay shows, you'll see what I see. Because sometimes that happens to me where I'm going live with a guest and I see myself the whole time.
I gotcha.
So don't even sweat it, but you get it. You got it. Here, see, it wasn't so bad, was it?
No, it wasn't. And I don't know why it's not picking up my headphones, but whatever. If you can hear me okay, I'm
Oh, I
happy.
hear you perfectly fine. And it's not picking up my headphones either. I took mine off too. So we're good. We're absolutely good. Alrighty, welcome to Hot Take Tuesday Live on a Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind introducing yourself, Joe, let us know, what you're about, what you're into.
Yeah. My name's Joe Bucari. I'm from Pittsburgh originally, live in Texas currently. I am a father, so I've got a wife and an 8-year-old daughter. Uh, of course, I mean, I love movies, love watching movies and TV. I love going to the theater with the family, getting out, watching stuff, seeing little proud moments with my 8-year-old cinephile who was literally just begging me for what horror movie she can watch first. So we'll try to delay the trauma that all of us millennials had of getting to watch movies way too young,
Oh,
um,
yes.
if we can. And then on top of movies, I'm into running. I've got a marathon planned for December. And then I work 2 jobs like the rest of us. So just out here hustling. That's how it goes.
Understandable. Okay, awesome. Congrats on the marathon run. Uh,
Thank you.
let me know. Let me know how it goes. I've never done one. I've always wanted to support someone who has done one.
Well, there we go. You can support me. I'll do my second one this December. My first one didn't go so well. I had a bone break and I still finished, so I guess
Ooh,
that's fun. But we're going to try to no broken bones this
yeah,
time.
yeah. Ooh, okay. Perfect. I'm in agreement with you on that. And as far as the movies, you're right. I was watching horror movies from when I was 6. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Too young to be watching Poltergeist or whatever.
Oh
Just
my gosh.
way, way too much trauma from our youth.
Oh man. Child's Play, all the things. Like
Love it.
we used to have Cinemax and all those Showtime, all those. So my mother did, she used to take VHS tapes and record all the movies and do the little thing. So we had like a nice collection. So by the time my sister was 6 and I was like 11, we were just like, hmm, Ninja 3 Domination? Put it
Yeah,
in. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
yeah.
Alrighty, so we are going to dive into the movie that we're going to talk about today, guys, which is the 1993 crime thriller, The Pelican Brief, starring
Yeah.
Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington. All right, so before we dive into all of that, we're gonna be doing spoilers. We're gonna be talking about the story, our thoughts. We're going all over the place, so there's no like order. We're not gonna go okay beginning. No, we're just all over. But before we do any of that, I want to get your overall opinion on the movie.
I enjoyed it. It was my 32nd Denzel movie of the year. I'm going for every Denzel this year, hoping I can wrap it up with Gladiator 2 when that comes out at the end of the year. Um, so I'm trying to watch all of his main feature films, trying to stay away from the as seen on TV. But I liked it, and I've liked other Grisham films,
Mm-hmm.
Grisham
Yeah.
adaptations. The ending really fell off for me. It was kind of cheesy, a little cute, and then it didn't give me the like, okay, they got what they needed, or that, we got them at the end, or anything like that. I don't know. But that's also very John Grisham story
Mm-hmm.
adaptation as well.
Yeah.
Um, I was blown away by the cast in this, because when you haven't seen something for years, or this may have been my first viewing, it's the cast is insane. Stanley Tucci, Sam Shepard. I'm reading off of my notes on the screen here. John Hurd, the dad from Home Alone. Tony Goldwyn, the bad guy from Ghost. John Lithgow, Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City, and then of course the two leads. But it was just an insane cast.
Insane. I was like,
Yes.
hey, hey, hey. And then you know what was so funny? Because at one point I said, I said there are a lot of evil white guys in this because all of those actors have always been villains in other movies. So every time I saw him, I'm like, okay, he's bad. He's bad.
Yep.
He's gotta be bad.
Yep.
I was like, it
Yeah,
was
and then seeing Lithgow and Denzel be friends
mm-hmm.
after I had watched Ricochet
Oh,
earlier this year
mm,
did did not compute for me. So I was like, Lithgow's got to be bad. He's got to be a mole in the whatever. And no, it wasn't the case. But I just did not trust
yeah.
him for my previous experience with him.
And, you know, I don't even blame you. Um,
Yeah.
I, he put him through the ringer in Ricochet. Like I remember, and I watched that movie when I was younger. So I was
Oh,
whoa, well, I was like, oh no, oh, I can't leave me. I'm like, oh no, no. I'm just, it was, yeah.
yeah.
That was a traumatizing movie to me because of what age I was. I watched it, but yeah, just I'm with you. A stellar cast, and seeing Stanley Tucci be like a villain. Like I really hadn't seen him as a villain. I've watched so many things where he's like the father or the the gay best friend
Mhm.
or the cool like just level headed, and I'm like he's evil.
Yes. He was ice cold as the assassin in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like no, and then his changing of his accents from one thing to another, and copying John Hurd's accent to get Julia to go with him
Yeah.
on the phone. Oh my goodness, I was floored. I mean, I love Stanley Tucci anyway, but
Yeah.
seeing him get to be the big bad
Yeah.
was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, he feels a little underrated to me. Like, like I feel like you know, and I know he gets around. I know he gets around,
Yeah,
but you know what I mean? Like he's always the supporting or the side, and he, he does a great job. So,
yeah,
uh,
absolutely. And then the score, the music added to the tension so much more. There were way more like run in a crowd, get away from people scenes than I think I've ever seen in any movie. And then it also features one of my least favorite movie tropes, which is the damsel needs to have her hand held to run away from danger. Um,
uh,
yeah, as a runner, you cannot run faster holding someone else's hand. Just go, get away, and go. And I don't know. I hate that trope. It's always in every movie, even today. Really, releases today, and it's always they got to hold their hand. They got to guide the frail woman to where she should go to safety. I don't know. It drives me crazy. Uh, Definitely one of my least favorite tropes, but it's full of those. Here, take my hand. We're gonna run and get away from danger and the crazy amounts of bullets that flew in this movie too.
I agree with you. I will say though, it always looks good on film, like the holding the hand and the running, and I think it's more about that. But no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Like there are things in movies that they do that in real life it doesn't make sense or wouldn't work as well, but on film it at least looks good. And I think when it comes down to that, depending on the story and what they're trying to do, they lean more into the looks good versus what
Mhm.
reality tells them.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so I'm with you on that. And I I can immediately tell it was a '90s movie. The minute like I heard a couple words, I was like, ah, there it is. '90s, '80s and '90s movies. Ah, there it is. I was like, okay,
Mhm.
but it was meant to be. Well, no, I don't want to even get into that actually. But the thing that kind of like I love about this movie is reminding me how things were before cell phones. Now I appreciate cell phones. I'm not one of those people who are like, no, but it is nice to remember and see. Oh, that's right. Payphones were everywhere. If if you didn't reach me at home or at the hotel room, you just could not reach me. It
Right.
I, it had to wait, and it's the fact that like so many movies from the 80s and 90s, the story relied a lot on not being able to reach somebody. And
Yes.
it'd have to adjust those for now. So I think the technology has forced storytellers to be more creative about the obstacles and things like that. And even miscommunications, because I mean, how many rom-coms? I know this isn't a rom-com, but how many rom-coms would be solved in 5 minutes if they had an actual conversation?
Right. If they could just text and say, "Hey, I didn't mean that. I
Yeah,
wanted to tell you what I actually meant."
yeah. Or
Yeah.
or it's like, you know, did you mean da 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 da? And the person is like, well, I
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, and then that is also why we're seeing more and more movies that involve time travel so they can go to when cell phones weren't around, or it's wild that a period piece is now in the 80s or 90s so they can omit the cell phones from it.
Oh my
uh,
goodness, yeah,
and I mean, I don't know. I could go either way, but you know that if it's going to be tension, if it's modern day, something is knocking out the cell phone tower,
yeah,
so we can keep the tension going,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, now the opening of this film, um, is gorgeous. Like just the sun setting,
Hmm.
the birds, the water. It is just gorgeous. I'm like, I love it. And I didn't really. This is my first time watching the Pelican Brief. I think I mentioned to you. It's one of those movies where like I just I just didn't catch it when it came out, and then as the
Hmm.
years go by, it just goes fades more and more into obscurity. And you see it referenced every once in a while. You're like, oh yeah, I never saw that. So when I saw it on your list, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I gotta see it. So thank you for that. Um, I as funny as it sounds, I did not realize the Pelican Brief would technically be about pelicans.
Right.
Be
It
honest.
did. It did eventually come around to pelicans. I mean,
Yeah,
ultimately, capitalism is always the villain
yeah,
in every movie,
yeah.
but it did come around to pelicans eventually.
And what's so funny about what you saying capitalism being the villain? Like looking at things now, I'm like, yeah, that tracks.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
movies
not.
have been
I'm
telling
not
us for a long
surprised.
time. Like movies have been telling us for a long time.
Yeah.
Capitalism isn't great. We shouldn't be do something about it. And now here we are, we're like, oh, whoops, oopsie.
Yeah. It's still, yeah, the story will never get old,
Hmm.
will never expire its relevancy, I don't think.
Yeah,
Because it's, a billionaire influencing political figures to get their way and using money to clean up after their mistakes. So, it's all too real, I suppose.
that literally what you said could apply to every year, every decade,
Yeah.
every election. So okay. Um, now, Kevin, he's always gonna be not Kevin, Mr. McAllister, Home
Yes,
Alone. Because
John Hurt.
that's I know his name is John Hurd, but he's always going to be Mr. McAllister.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, for sure.
the man with the questionable job and income and house. Always.
Right.
So when he was like when she was talking to him and telling him your friend's dead, at first I was like, wait, is he in on this? And then his response and how he was, I was like, oh, okay, he's not. And
Yeah.
I was rooting for him to live. I was.
See, almost felt like if we had a little more time with him, there would have been a potentially dirty aspect to his character.
Mm,
I never read the book, and so I can't say if they dug or if they
yeah.
fleshed out some more about this character. But I feel like there could have been more to it, or he was just ignorantly, kind of rolling along.
Mm,
Not really worried about all the stuff because he had that conversation and then got off the phone and then was just like worried about his fat that he had to lose. So not even registering that somebody died in entirety. So he's probably just ignorant and rolling along to keep his job, or just the ignorance is bliss
yeah.
mentality. So maybe he was clean in the bigger picture.
Mm, yeah. Um, one thing that I was surprised about was how long it took us to get Denzel and Julia together.
I
It was almost, I want to say like practically the third act. I think really is when it feels like they got kind
Yeah.
of got together. I know the movie was kind of long, right? Um, but I was just like, oh, this is great, cool. Oh, they're not okay. Oh, not yet. All right, that's fine. Oh, okay. Oh, oh,
Yeah.
all right. And
Yeah.
so it finally happened. Yeah. No, go ahead. I'm
And
sorry. Go ahead.
I have I've read a couple Grisham novels years ago, and they are all like that. Like you're like, when are we going to get to the picture I saw on the cover, or get out of this flashback? I think he would do those too. But yeah, it was not brief by any means. I guess we can use that joke. They definitely took way too long to get the two together. They're on the cover of the movie,
Thank you.
and I enjoyed all of the like the they were just, and I guess we're getting to your hot take, right, where they were just buddies trying to solve a mystery together, and keep themselves safe, and then all the little like pretending to be somebody else was cute and fun, but I wanted more of that. Like I could have used more of them kind of paired up and trying to solve the mystery.
Yeah. When they because so the for me Act One, when we're like getting all these pieces, you're like, okay, you're not sure how they connect yet,
Mhm.
but you're liking what you're seeing. You're being introduced. Okay, and then this Act Two, it's not that it was boring, right? There's still things happening, and she's on the run, but you're kind of like, okay, I feel like we're in first gear. Let's kind of what we're doing. Like let's go. And then the minute they connect, it's like boom, off to the
Mhm.
races. Okay,
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely invested. And so I so my hot take, for those who didn't see it, was the fact that they missed the opportunity to have them romantically involved somehow. So um the thing about like my hot takes, sometimes they are a hot take. Sometimes they're just something funny that I noticed or pointing out a life thing. Hot take is just a fun way of saying it. And someone had mentioned, and I put it on TikTok, they had said, well, they don't, it's nice to have a story where like the male and the female didn't get together. They don't always have to. And I said, oh,
Mhm.
I agree with you. One of my favorite movies is Eraser with Vanessa Williams,
Oh
right? That one,
yeah, yeah.
and
Yep.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. And there is no romantic. chemistry between them, and it works for the story. Like he is there to protect her specifically. That's his job. He's serious about his job. Like it just romance would have muddied the story. I liked exactly how it was. Period.
Right.
This though felt because of I want to say almost like the intimacy of what they were doing and how they were involved, like that there was and it did feel there was like chemistry there with them that and I don't mean they have to like go to bed or anything, you know what I mean? I thought we
Mhm.
would at least get like a thank you for everything, like an intimate kiss, but like a send off. So maybe that's just the 80s 90s of me.
Yeah. Well, and there was, I mean, and then the tension of like running from and,
Mhm.
surrendering to that stress, I guess, could have been easily injected into the story. Um, I was researching and had a good conversation this morning about it with a friend at work. And there's actually a little bit of history with Denzel. So he was in a movie where he played like an island detective or chief of police called The Mighty Quinn, and he did a kind of not so great island accent, but it was fine. The movie's kind of tongue in cheek, cheesy, and there was a scene when they ran it with test audiences where he got with a white woman who was the actress in the movie, and then the test audience said that they did not like that Denzel got with a white woman. And so they ended up, Denzel said, well, hey, let's cut that out of the movie. So I don't know if this is still in the wake of any of that decision. I know
I
there's rumors on.
I, I,
Hmm?
I think that it is. No, no, no. I'm with you. I think that it is. And that was kind of, and it's funny you mentioned that because my hot take was a way of alluding to without saying it. Like
Yep.
I knew about like that. So, me saying, oh, like I kind of knew why, but it was my way of being funny about it without trying to be political or because because that I don't really like being political. It
Mm.
divides way too much, and I really like bringing people together, no matter what side you're on, because humor, movies, they have a good way of like doing that. So when I do my hot takes, I kind of think of that. So I knew this, like
Okay.
loosely. Like I didn't know whose end it was, whether it was studio, Denzel, or Julia. I just knew it was that thing because they did the same thing with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando with I can't remember her name, but they were down to do a kiss and everything. The studio was like nah, we're not doing that.
Right.
So
Right.
I definitely like so that was my tongue in cheek way of like kind of dropping it in there, but not you know making it a thing.
Yeah. Well, and then I was trying to think through both Denzel and Julia Roberts' movie history, and I'm not, I can't point the finger at anyone to say whatever, but really Denzel sticks to it's usually women of color in most of his movies. The only exception I could think of was Mila Jovovich in He Got Game, um, but then she's still that Eastern European. So I don't know. It's there is a unique thing across his career.
Yeah.
And then on the Julia side, the only thing I could think of was her dancing with Mahershala in Leave the World Behind, that Netflix movie. So
Yeah,
them
that one.
dancing to too close up in their library, up in his library of his
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. And I like I'm not trying to dig into it and like be a whole thing either. That wasn't my interest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I think that and I think you know it's an actor's right, just to how they want to portray their characters. I completely understand. I completely understand.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's still interesting to be like, and then how I was able to rattle through all of his movies and be like, oh, this one movie, but it's just so weird to look at it from that lens. but in a fun way, not in pointing
Yeah,
out or anything. And
yeah.
yeah, just like you were saying. And I don't mind getting political in some of my reviews. If you read them, you can tell I've got a side for sure.
Mhm.
But I just like to call things out. This is how I feel in the moment after seeing this, and hey, take it or leave it, I suppose. But I was again surprised. Like, yeah, these were two people at the peak of their career in the '90s, and that would have been so much movie trailer fodder and spice for people to go see. And I'm just surprised they didn't jump for it.
Mhm.
That's wild.
Yeah. 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 Um, Speaking of, like you talked about the ending being a little bit of a letdown. I kind of want to
Hmm.
discuss that a little bit with you. Um, yeah, it felt, yeah, I'm with you. It felt really neat, tied up in a bow.
Oh
Very
yeah,
neat. And I'm like, this does link back to the President of the United States. This is very, I mean, when they were like making the calls to the people saying, hey, we're going to run the story tomorrow, I was like, what are you doing? Like, they can
yeah.
send somebody to you tonight. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I
Well, was
was
this
outside.
before the 24-hour news cycle started?
Um, well, because
Maybe.
they said it's gonna run tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
oh, it was after 5. It was after 5. It,
Okay.
yeah, it was after
But
5.
but this was definitely pre, news is running for 24 hours out of the
Yeah,
day. So, or else they would have sold it to the big studios, right?
yeah,
Fox, NBC, CNN would have all had it, and
yeah,
they would have ran it that night or whatever.
yeah. Oh, lovely says right before you mentioned the story, I thought the same thing. Yeah, with the Denzel
Mhm.
Juliet. So yeah, I was afraid. I was like, what? And then because I kind of forgot about the FBI guys, when the two of them came walking through the office, I was like, oh, they're coming, they're coming. And it wasn't
Right.
until talking, I'm like, oh wait, they're the good guys. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that
Well, and then
person. They show me so many bad guys that I lost track.
right. Well, and then, yeah, when you get into these political corruption movies, then it's like, well, if it goes to the president, then how many organizations are bad, or how many groups are bad inside of this, so they can't really trust anybody.
Yeah,
Um, and it is, I don't know, thinking about it today of like, you can find anyone. Um, it was weird that her name was still published as part of the brief of the information, but then she was in hiding at somewhere, non-disclosed location, sitting comfortably with the door open, watching TV, smirking at Denzel, half flirting with her through the television. I don't know. It was like you said, it was too neat, too tidy. But maybe I like the messy endings of is it solved or
yeah.
or not
Like,
quite.
so with talking about that, I actually want to bring up conspiracy theory. The one. Yeah. So what's funny is that it didn't have like a neat bow. It left like,
Mhm.
it was good enough where it was like, as long as she thinks you're dead, she's safe. You know, like the dangers are never gone. There's too many people, there's too many hands in the pot for to have cleaned the system. Him finding his way to communicate to her was awesome. So that, I hear you. That was kind of on the realm of what I was expecting. But
Mhm.
over here, it's kind of like, oh, on a plane, and her name, like, like, oh, is she just a figment of your imagination? I'm like, well, okay. I just,
Yeah, I have not seen Conspiracy Theory in a long time. I do want to rewatch it. Maybe Julia Roberts is up there for the next like completionist actor that I want to watch all their movies. Um, so I remember bits and pieces of Conspiracy Theory, specifically the quiet helicopter scene in the middle of the city. So yeah, I don't remember much about that plot and how they wrap that one up.
well, when you do watch it, rewatch it. I,
I'll hit you up. I'll let you know. I'll let you know my thoughts, even though I'm not a huge fan of Mr. Mel Gibson.
it's okay. You're looking at the character. You're looking at the
Yeah,
character.
yeah.
The
I know.
character.
I got to separate, right? Separate.
Yeah. Depending on what an artist does depends on my ability to separate.
Mhm.
For the
Oh
most
yeah.
part, I'm pretty good. I can isolate. Um, yeah, I forget the director of Chinatown. I mean, he's a director, but you know,
Hmm.
yeah, that level is hard for me to overlook. Um,
Yeah, I recently watched Rosemary's Baby for the first time, and I just couldn't separate Roman Polanski from his crimes,
yeah,
basically. So that was a tough one.
yeah, yeah. That's definitely a tough one. Um, I laughed. I laughed when Denzel was spying on the other lawyer guy. He had the huge lens. And I was like, oh, that's right. That's right. We used to have huge, like personal lenses for that kind
Yeah,
of thing. And I'm just like, no one saw him with this huge lens.
right, right. Well, and then it was like it was a wide lens this way.
Yes.
So, and I don't know anything about camera equipment, but I thought it had to be long to zoom in better, and that wider would capture more. So he was really spying on everyone instead of just this one guy because he had a wider angle. It was comical. They were like, they just sent somebody, hey, go get me they sent some PA, hey, go get me a big lens from Radio Shack.
It caught my attention. It
Yeah.
definitely caught my attention. I appreciated it. Um, and I thought it was funny how they showed how hard it was for him getting how I think one time they showed him not being able to get a cab. And I was like, remember those days?
Yeah, yeah, they had to. I knew they had to put that in there. The second he had put his hood up to try to be incognito, um, and then the other guy grabbed a cab. I knew that was going to be the case. They were going to throw that in there, but
That was gonna be it.
yeah. But now the Uber driver. I mean, I guess they can decline your ride, right? But they need your money.
Yes, yes, they do. Um, so what's funny is, I, when Julia Roberts was on the run, and they sent okay, he was a short, stocky guy that was trying to kill her, like after
Mhm.
after Tucci, and there was a part where she gets in the elevator, and there's all these guys, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought they were all there for her, and when it was just him that left, I was like, oh, it's just the local one,
Oh,
right?
see, I thought they split up and then they caught her back in the parking garage. Was that how that one went down? I thought they split up and
No,
then
it was the one guy coming after her, the one guy.
yeah, and that the timing and the speed, I don't know. I don't think he could have caught up with her in real
No.
life.
Yeah, because she was going down. Like it was. Yeah. And then when she was at the laundromat and the guy was like, oh, flirting with her and everything, and trying to stop her, and he's like signaling to the guy, and she's right there. Like he's this tall dude, and I was like, why aren't you taking care of her? Not that like height
Mhm.
means the short guy can't do it. I'm just like, you're right. I don't understand your role.
Yeah.
Like, did they just send off? They just send one killer after her and some like wingmen. Like what are you? I thought that was like interesting. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I thought it,
I think it was definitely probably a part that could have been trimmed down or trimmed out. It definitely made that part drag of the movie a little bit.
hmm And when Stanley Tucci meets her on the pier, I think it is, and like
Mhm.
he's about to get her, and he got shot and killed. I was like, wait a minute, who did that? I knew it wasn't Denzel. I was like, who did that? And
Well, I think they thought that he was John Hurd, and they weren't in on that. on that part of the hit or whatever was supposed to happen.
Well,
So they,
well,
but
actually,
that one was kind of, I don't know, that I, I got a chuckle out of that
yeah.
kill because it was a little too dramatic. It was a little too cheesy '90s movie in
Mhm.
that moment.
Yeah.
Um, but I was happy when it was like, okay, Julia's just beelining through the crowd to get out of there, and she ran instead of waiting or thinking somebody was going to come help her. So I was happy with that, at least the outcome of it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was. I don't know. It was wild. Just that whole thing. Stanley Tucci with his little fake fat belly put on. Um, and then he mimicked the other guy's voice so he could trick Julia into thinking it was him. Um, again, yeah, Tucci's definitely probably my favorite performance out of the movie.
Yeah. Um, I really like that overhead wide shot when like
Mm,
his body falls and you just see the crowd dispersing different directions. How empty and cleared out that section gets. I thought it was a really cool shot.
yeah.
What happened is later at the end of the movie when the FBI agent is there, whatever, um, they actually mentioned that some other team on the, I guess the good guy side, kind of had assigned this guy to watch Julia Roberts, and he was the one that killed the guy. But he was only allowed to kind of watch her
Hmm.
and from afar, maybe protect her from afar, which it threw me off because I'm like, well then where were you the other times?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like it just like it was an enjoyable movie, but there's just so much like strings, like loose
Hmm.
strings, and like kind of like not like plot holes specifically, but just things that I'm like, you I feel like they would connect it. They would give it more thought and connect it better now. I honestly think so. Story like
Yeah.
explanation wise. Now would the movie be better? I don't know.
Right.
Remakes are hit and miss.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
and I don't know that anybody's vying for a remake of the Pelican Brief. However, if they were like, "Oh, we're bringing back Denzel and Julia Roberts," I don't care what it is, I'm watching. So, if it's a remake of the Pelican Brief and it's a sequel, I don't care. I'm watching it. So,
he meets her on the island where she's at.
exactly. Yeah, he shows up. He's like, "I got another document I need you to write up. Have you been up on your legal degree or whatever?" So,
And that's another thing. Like, I feel like they wouldn't put her like out of the country like that on an island. They would put her like in a safe house under a different identity somewhere else. Like it. Okay,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it too much. I
Yeah.
understand. I understand. I do understand.
They would have redacted her name. She would not have had her glorious red hair at the end of that movie. She would have it would have been, completely different situation. She would have been in Idaho or something under witness protection for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. What was it? Oh, you know what else it made me miss watching this movie? Not to hate on anybody. Real journalism. Miss that.
Yes.
Missed that.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I like he didn't want to drop it even after he was told to drop the story.
Hmm.
Hey, leave this alone. You're not turning up anything. Move on. No, there's something here. There's something here. Um, that is, but everything now is so fast. Like the second you finally hear about whatever is in the news, and it's
Yeah.
something else, and I don't know. So yeah, it is nice to see that like commitment and the dedication in there.
Yeah.
But then I guess on the other hand, you could say, well, how many other stories was he missing following all of these leads, which did turn up something, but what if it ended up being nothing where he
Yeah.
could have been? I don't know.
And
So
but see, the other side of that too is, like you said, like it's always been about breaking the story first, right? But then it was you doing your best to have your facts straight. Now it's like I want to be the first to say this, and then I go back and fact check it later. If I have to do a
Right.
redaction or or apology, I'll throw it out little blurb. Like
Yep.
it's like a very much an afterthought. And the problem is that negative. Good news does not travel fast. Bad news
Mhm.
does. So,
Right.
and there's normally like a blowhorn when it comes to the 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 headline, and a whisper when it comes to correcting
Right.
it. So it's
Yeah.
just my little minor correct. I'm not a journalist, not in that world. So I'm not like dogging people who are. I just the way it's done. And I'm not. There's no one person to single out. It's the way that society and
Mhm.
technology has gone. So I'm not like saying, oh, you know. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I'm with you. My only other my only other note on the story, when if we're talking about love interests,
mhm.
is I like Sam Shepard, right? But Sam Shepard as Julia's love interest, her professor, she's only 23 years old. Um, I know they aged a lot faster back in those days, so maybe he was playing a 40-year-old, but maybe I don't know. So I did not buy that relationship for a second. And frankly, until thinking about it now, I'm like, I pretty much forgot the whole first part before they blow up Sam Shepard in New Orleans. It really was like pretty much a throwaway. I don't know that they needed that. Um, I guess they did to move the story, and somebody got killed
Well,
because of
the
the bigger
reason why
cover
the
up. But
reason why they needed that was I think it because um him confiding like them confiding in each other, her showing him her like brief, like you kind of wouldn't just like have those intimate conversations with your professor
mm,
about a case, and if you had theories like and do all this, like you probably wouldn't do that naturally. And the fact that she went to Denzel because of his admiration for Denzel's work. um
yes,
so that relationship actually did need to happen. Now I'm with you as far as like
the age gap was too much for me. So they could have found a way to, I think, get a different person to play the love interest
it,
and still connect. Like it could have gone maybe the same way, but I don't know. Say the age gap maybe took me out of it.
so um I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna sound awful when I say this. Um, the age gap I can get past if he has a certain look. I hate to say that, but like it's
Mhm.
like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like because it's not you can connect with somebody on a level that's not like their physicality, and maybe his brain is what attracts her.
True.
Clearly he he has some kind of game because she isn't even the first student that he's had a relationship
Right.
with because of the reference. So now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm pretty sure it's his game. It's his mind and its intellect. It's how like uh, that attracts her and others to him. So yeah, like I
Yeah.
was thrown off by it because personally, age gaps just generally for me are like yikes, you know. But now I mean like like illegal age. I mean like when
Right.
it's like oh you're
Right.
25 and you're 48, 50. It's a little gross, but do you? Some personal
Yeah.
preference.
Well, and then I think I was also thrown off of how much. Well, and I don't know. I guess it fits in the dynamic because she was taking the relationship more seriously than he was. She wanted him to get sober because he had a drinking problem.
Yeah.
Uh, he was just like, no, well, what am I going to do? Quit drinking when stressful things happen, or whatever the line was. I can't remember exactly, but the dynamics were there. Like they were, it was done well. Um, but yeah, I don't know. And like I said, I like Sam Shepard, but I could have gone for somebody different in that professor role
Mm.
just to make it a little more believable for me.
Okay, understood, understood. I mean, the drinking thing. Maybe he looks that way because of his drinking problem. You know, drinking ages you even worse. So maybe he really is younger than we think he is, right?
Maybe the drink aged him poorly. So
It's and it saved her life.
right, right. Uh,
Oh my God. Oh, speaking of, when I know they're both the stars of the movie, but I still was like, hold my breath when like Denzel and them they're in the car in the garage, and he reaches for the car like twice to turn it on. She goes, "But wait, this. But wait, this." And I'm like, don't turn on the car. And then
yeah,
he's
and I used to work on cars, so I that when he started it and it didn't start, um, the second the key was turned, it would have blown up. So I I know how all that stuff gets connected, and I was like, come on, at least like get her. I don't know. She saw a light blink or something. That part was a little lame, a little cheesy. But then not everybody knows how cars are wired either. So, I'll give up. I'll give up my expert opinion or my expert facts that I've got on that one.
and they set that up earlier because of Sam Shepard. His car turned up a couple times before it blew up. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that was their way of like, doing that. And I haven't read the book, so I don't know what the book did. If it, if he did the same thing with that. Um,
Well, then if they have access to all these bombs, how did they not just blow her up sooner? So it's
okay, all right. Like they made her look like Black Widow in this movie
yeah,
because like the ineptness of these guys, like these guys, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't.
Or they were like, "Hey, we're only going to use two bombs this time. Don't waste a second one." I don't know. Maybe that was they have a quota of or a budget that they can't go over. I guess that's
I mean,
that's
because
what we use.
you already killed two judges. Like you've already crossed the line. So it's not like you're trying to, we're not trying to kill too many people. You killed two judges. You killed two
Right.
judges,
Yeah.
and then you killed a law dude, and like, yeah, the I don't know. Even when like Denzel caught the guy running from his hotel room, I was like,
Mhm.
what? Did he plant a bomb in there? Like, what is this about?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the more we talk about it, the less we're gonna like the movie as we keep digging into it.
Oh man. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let's yeah. Let's not. Here's what I'll say. Um, 'cause I feel like I feel like we've kind of gone through it and and poke what we could, and um we did talk about things that we liked though. We did open up with that. So
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
a
We
thing.
we were we were positive. We did accomplish
Yeah.
that.
Yes. I did enjoy watching the Pelican Brief.
Yes.
I
Same.
and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I saw it after all this time. So, I just, I guess there's just certain things that like my eyes are like looking at this and that, and oh, well, maybe, where they do it connects differently. But as we're closing, I want to ask you, I think you told me already, but we're gonna do it here too. For the hot takes, I don't always do it, but I try to put out a poll that relates to the hot take in a way. And for this, I was first gonna say what, thriller movie Denzel or Julia's been in that you like, but there was just too many of them. You only have
Mhm.
four choices. And Julia was the easier pick because she had fewer thrillers to choose from, and technically she really is the star of this movie. So that's why I went with
Right.
Julia. And I put the poll on Instagram and YouTube, and I asked people like, what's your favorite thriller for Julia Roberts? And I picked the Pelican Brief was a choice. The Secret in Their Eyes, Conspiracy Theory, and Sleeping with the Enemy. Now,
Hmm.
have you have you seen all four of them?
No, I have not. And I think it's just the Pelican Brief and then Conspiracy Theory from years ago, and it may have been on like TNT or TBS or
Got
something.
it, got it. So I've never seen The Secret in Their Eyes,
Mhm.
but I've definitely seen Conspiracy Theory a few times. Sleeping with the Enemy was one of those taped movies that my mother had, so we watched it a bunch of times.
Right.
Love that movie. So out of those four, I guess it's gonna be easy. Which one do you pick as your favorite Julia Roberts thriller?
I gotta go with Conspiracy Theory because I remember that being a little bit more intense. It didn't quite wrap up everything, and I do remember enjoying Mel Gibson's crazy in that movie.
It was a quite a time.
Yeah,
Um,
but I guess I'm gonna have to revisit it and see. I'll have to let you know how I like it.
okay. I think you still will, honestly. So on Instagram, last I checked, I think Conspiracy Theory was in the lead. I think. Um, on YouTube, Sleeping with the Enemy was in the lead.
Oh.
So we'll kind of see how things wrap up for tomorrow. Um, so for me, I was choosing between those two actually personally. I love Sleeping with the Enemy, but if I want something that's really like action thriller, because Sleeping with the Enemy is a little bit more of a slow burn because she is trying to escape an abusive marriage.
Hmm.
It's still a great movie. Recommend, you're gonna enjoy it. But I have to lean into conspiracy theory because a lot more action, there's a lot more fun, a lot more thrills. Mel Gibson's crazy. Undercovering layers. Like there's so much more to it. So
Yep.
conspiracy theory is gonna have to be the favorite one that I go with for me. So that's that's it on that. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, nothing else to add about Pelican Brief or any of these. I guess I'm happy to do another one of these again, and I don't know. There will probably be another Denzel in my recent list of watches if we do this again. I imagine. So,
Okay. We are definitely going to do this again. I love having you on. Um, and for those that don't know, Hot Take Tuesday live on a Wednesday. I try to do them every week, generally. Sometimes a month, kind of just depends. But we watch a movie that was recently watched. I do a hot take on it on Tuesday, and on Wednesday we have a live conversation. So I'm always looking to talk to people and like I really enjoy this because doing this helps me get to know the community that we're in.
mm,
Because we respond to people's posts or reels, we like things, leave comments, and that's all awesome. But being able to have like a conversation, like a flow, is I find it even better. So this is kind of my way of getting to know, the movie community that I'm within and having case conversations and getting to know people.
mm.
So you're definitely coming back on. It will most likely be this year for sure.
All right, I dig it. I'm excited.
Perfect. 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 Thank you for coming on. Thank you again. Be sure to follow Joe on Get To It when I get to it. I freaking love your name. I love your name.
It's just the nature of I'm a dad with two jobs, and I'll get to it when I get to it. I just this month or last month finally saw The Godfather Part One and Two. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. There are tons of things that are in my blind spot, but then I don't know. There are so many movies that I don't. You just end up watching it because it's like, well, it's new, it's on Netflix, it's here, sure, and I'll get around to the classics eventually. But yeah, I'm trying to knock some more off before I get into officially spooky season for my movies.
Gotcha. Lovely says, good night, guys. Enjoyed listening. Just didn't watch the movie, but will now. Perfect. Awesome.
Awesome.
It's funny you mentioned Netflix real quick. I tried.